kids, welcome back to Spirit Day. I hope you're wearing your blue. Today in reading, we are going to learn about the comma. So we know that this is a comma. It's always on the bottom line, right? We have an apostrophe that looks like a comma, but it's used for different purposes. So our comma, I'm going to erase my apostrophe, is always on our bottom line. Now a comma is a punctuation mark. And remember, when you're checking your cops to have a perfect sentence, you're checking for your capital letters, you're checking for your organization, meaning your finger spacing, that you're starting on the very left of your paper, and that you're using your neatest, nicest handwriting. You're checking for your punctuation, which so far has been periods, question marks, and exclamation points, and you're checking for your spelling. So now when you're checking your cops, you're going to make sure that you're also checking that your commas that you have commas if you need them and that they're in the appropriate places. Now, one way that we use a comma is to separate words in a sentence, especially when there's 3 or more words listed together in a list. So for instance, you're listing things that you like. Like Carl likes to run, hop, and jump. Notice that run, hop is kind of blotched together. Is run, hop something? No, it's a list. He's saying that he likes to do 3 separate things. And if we say run, hop, that sounds like it's one thing. We need to separate these 2 words with a comma. So when we have a word, 3 or more words in a list, we would separate each word with a comma. So we would say run, comma, hop, comma, and do we need to put a comma after and? No, because and isn't part of the thing that he likes. He doesn't like an and. That's not a noun, right? So we would only put it after, or a verb, we would only put it after the words that are listed in the list. And is just being used to separate. It's kind of being used as a comma, so we won't need a comma after and. Run, hop, and jump. So we would put 2 commas when we have a list of 3 things. Now, one way to find your list in a sentence is by looking for the word and. Here we have the word and we'll look on each side of our word, and we have 2 different things here. That kind of gives us a clue that this is probably going to be our list that we're looking for when we need to add our commas. So let's take a look at this sentence. Track, soccer, and golf are sports. Now, is track, soccer a sport? No, those are 2 different sports. But without the comma, it makes it look like track soccer is the sport. So we would need to add a comma after each of our things that we are listing that are sports. Remember, we don't add a comma after and, because and isn't something that we're listing, right? So we would say track, comma, soccer, comma, and golf are sports. And remember, you don't need a comma after golf because now we're moving on with our sentence. Track, comma, soccer, comma, and golf are sports. Now, one way I like to remember it is you need 1 less comma than you have a list. So if you have a list of 5 things that you like, what's right before 5? 4. So you would only need 4 commas. So we're concentrating on 3 things today. So you would only always need 2 commas if you have 3 things in your list. Now here's a sentence to show the importance of using commas when you are listing something. So here I'm listing 3 things that I like. Let's read the sentence together. Are you ready? I like to cook dogs and kids. Wait a minute, Miss Darcy, you like to cook dogs and kids? That's gross. No, I don't like to cook dogs, and I definitely don't like to cook kids. Do I look like the witch from Hansel and Gretel? No, I need commas. So I'm listing 3 things that I like to do, or that I like, right? I like to cook, so that's one thing. I like dogs, that's another thing, and I like kids, that's another thing. But if without commas, it looks like I like to cook dogs and kids. No, that is not okay. I need need to add my commas, right? So I like to cook, comma, dogs, comma, and kids. So this is just to kind of show you the importance of commas so that nobody misunderstands and thinks that you like to eat dogs and kids. Yikes, let's erase that. That's kind of spooky. Now take a look at this sentence. Cheese and chips are snacks. Are we missing any commas in this one? We're not missing any commas, are we? Because remember, you only need to separate the words when it's 3 or more in a list. And in this one, we have cheese and chips. So we're already separating it with that word and there's not more than 2. We're just talking about 2 snacks, so we don't need any commas. So remember, it's only when you have 3 or more in a list that you need to add your commas. Sound good? Awesome. Let's go ahead and get out our workbook and practice adding commas to sentences on our own. Are you ready? Here we go. All right, I'm going to do half of these with you, and I'm going to let you do the other half. So let's look at number 1. So we're looking for our list of 3 things, and we're going to add our commas. So number 1, it says, the nose, lips, and cheeks are part of the face. Well, a nose lips isn't something, right? A nose lips? That would be weird. No, it's nose and lips. So we would need to separate these 2 words with a comma. The nose, comma, lips, comma, and cheeks are part of the face. Don't add a comma after cheeks. We already have our 2 commas, and definitely not after and, because that's not something that we're talking about that's part of our face. Let's look at the next one, number 2. My best pal is smart and funny. Let's look for our 3 things in our list. Well, here's our word and we have smart and fun. Is there a third one? No, there's not. So this one's actually already done for us. We don't need any commas because there's only 2 things that we're listing. And we only put commas if there's 3 or more. Let's look at this one. Ooh, this is a good one because it actually did rain and hail yesterday. Well, Sunday, right? So it rained, hailed, and stormed yesterday. Yesterday, because we have that exclamation point. So is rained, hailed something? No, we call it 2 separate things. So it rained, comma, hailed, comma, and stormed yesterday. We have 3 things listed and 2 commas. Let's look at number 4. We can sit on a bench, a chair, or a stool. Oh, I like this one because it has a bench, a chair, or a stool. So here we go. We have our 3 things. Let's put in our commas. We have a bench, comma, a chair, comma, or we can sit on a bench, comma, a chair, comma, or a stool. We have 3 things listed and we have 2 commas. All right, I did half of them for you. I want you to look at the rest. Egg, grits, and milk are good in the morning. We have our list of 3 things. Where would our 2 commas go? Dave, Jim, and Martez are in my class. Here's our list of 3 things. Where did the commas go? It's fun to skate, glide, and play on ice in winter. Skate, glide, and play are our 3 things. Where do our commas go? And then we have Ben and Bob are waiting for me. Find your 3 things. Oh, do we have 3 things? If not, put a check mark if it's all done. All right, that's it for commas for today. And when you're done with that, come on back and we'll do our reading for the day. All right, in your reader today, I want you to find the story called In the Mail. While you're reading that story, you're going to see a lot of A words. Some of those A words will be spelled with our A-I, like mail, wait, and Spain. And notice those AIs are usually, that sound would be in the middle of our word. Then you'll have our AY sounds that are usually at the end of our word, like play, way, day, and say. You'll find a tricky word in our story as well, talk, because that A-L-K makes this alk sound, which is kind of awkward. So it's a tricky word, talk. After you read this story, come back and we will take a look at the workbook pages. All right, for our workbook pages today, we're on page 27 and 28. Listen carefully. I want you to pick 2 questions to answer, just 2. So you can answer, what did Kay get from Martez? Why do Mexicans talk and write in Spanish? Do you think Martez misses Kay? How do you know? And how does Kay feel when she gets the card? And how do you know? Pick 2 questions to answer out of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can leave the other 2. If you'd like to answer them all, you can, but you don't have to. You can just pick 2 of the questions to answer. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care, sweeties.